Germany's leader says diplomacy with Russia is over. The WHO is tightening global control under the banner of health, and Bible prophecy is coming alive before our eyes. Today on the Endtime Show, we're exposing that what mainstream media won't, how global events are aligning with Revelation 13. From Germany's aggressive shift to the WHO's push for pharmakeia-style control to America's prophetic role in all of it, is the beast system rising? And what does that mean for us as believers? Stay tuned. This is an urgent one. Welcome to the Endtime Show. Vince Stegall here with Doug Norvell. We're so happy you've joined us today. We're excited to talk about what's developing around the world in Bible prophecy. And, of course, we need your help. Don't forget to share this video. Don't forget to give us a heart or a thumbs up. Turn the bell on. Turn notifications on. Do all those things. And then make sure you're engaging in the comments throughout the entire show. It goes a long way in breaking through the the algorithms, and as an end timer, you should share this video right now. Make sure that you comment and give us a thumbs up. I do want to tell you about something brand new and powerful that we've launched on OnlySource. It's called The Joy Hour with Tom Lyman. This is more than just a podcast. It's a space for real conversations about healing, faith, family, addiction, forgiveness, all the stuff we sometimes avoid, desperately need to talk about. Tom's story is raw, redemptive, and full of hope, and he's creating a place where others can open up and heal too. The first episode is already live, and you do not want to miss it. Just head over to endtime.com/joy to start listening today. And the best part, you can use code June still to get your first month absolutely free. So that's endtime.com/joy, and be sure to use promo code June for a free month of encouragement, honesty, and hope. You need to check it out and share it with someone who needs it. So go to endtime.com/joy today. Doug, before we get into the show, you've come to know Tom Lyman real well. In fact, you're a big reason of why he even came here to do the show. You went on the tour. He went on the tour with, and he and his wife Lana went on the tour, and you heard their story, and you said end timers need to hear it. And so as a result, one thing has led to another, and he's now doing a show on OnlySource.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And it just goes to show you what God can do with a life that's willing to allow God to move and shape and mold you into where you need to be. And Tom does have an incredible story. He talked with Dave and I every night at dinner. It's one of the great things about the tour is, when you go on tour with folks that are connected to end time and you get to do this, it's so much more than just, you go somewhere and your guide is there and the person who's running the tour is there during the day, but then you don't see them until the next morning after you're done for the day. That's not how end time is. We hang out with people. We have Bible studies at night occasionally, depending on what, happened throughout the day. And you get to have meals with them. You're eating breakfast in the morning and dinner at night there at the hotel, and so you get to connect with people. And it was really powerful when we got to connect with Lana and Tom. And so we knew really quick, Dave and I both knew, man, we need to get you guys on the show so y'all can share this with people and then look at what God's done with it. So it's amazing, and he's not done yet. Nope. That's the really cool thing. So
now Tom talks about healing, hope, recovery, addiction, different things like that. Do you have to be somebody that's addicted to get something from what he talks about?
Absolutely not. For one thing, if you watch Tom, you're going to realize really quick that Tom can talk to anybody about anything, because he can. Tom is just one of those people. When he walks in a room, you feel his energy, and you're going to feel his energy come through the program as well. But you don't have to be in a bad spot for any stretch of the imagination. You just need to have an open mind and an open heart and love the Lord, and come on there and you can talk about anything with Tom. So Tom has a great personality, and he is able to just get his message out in a way that I think a lot of people are going to be able to identify with him. He's not talking down to anybody for sure. He's just talking to you, and it's like having a conversation with him. So yeah, I think they'll enjoy it.
You're right. And I don't know what people think about us. They draw opinions of us watching the show.
I'm scared to ask what people think about us.
Somebody
and now
recently,
you're going to say, put it in the comments.
Well, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to go there for this one, but somebody recently said that they said something like, I can tell that Doug's the detail guy and you're kind of the dreamer. And I'm like, really? I know you're into details, but usually I get coined as being the nerdy detail guy.
Yeah.
But with Tom, I'm not nearly as talkative as him. So when I go places with him, where I would be in and out in less than 60 seconds, he's taking a lot longer than I'm going, Tom, let's go, man. And he's got to meet everybody. So he's a great guy. His show's awesome. He's going to help a lot of people, and we're excited to be part of that.
And he knows everybody at Costco now.
Yes, and no matter where you go, he's going to meet everybody.
Yeah.
So he's a great guy, and you need to go watch Joy Hour. Go to endtime.com/joy to start. Episode 1 released on Saturday. They'll release every Saturday from here on out until the rapture happens, Doug, Lord willing.
And praise the Lord.
So let's get into what we're talking about today, this Germany stuff, Doug. That one, when we start talking about Germany, we start seeing stories about Germany being involved. Of course, that's like a foundational thing for us here. Right. The Berlin Wall coming down, that was in the book. It wasn't, Irvin's friend said, don't put that in your book, all that stuff. So anytime we talk about Germany, there's something in me that kind of fires up a little bit more, because if that Berlin Wall wouldn't have come down, like many people said it never would, we wouldn't even there would be nothing to talk about at this point. They wouldn't be the superpower that they are, if you will. Yeah. And so here they are poking the bear, the Russian bear, if you will. And they're not the only ones poking the Russian bear, Doug. It's pretty crazy. We've been since the Russia-Ukraine war, specifically within the last several months, we've been saying somehow Russia and Putin are not going to be anti-NATO. Somehow they're going to merge in with them. We don't know how, but just like how we knew the Berlin Wall would come down, it's going to happen. And so here we are. Every news agency, everybody's posting about this that's happening with Germany and Russia, and of course Donald Trump's latest statement, which we'll get to later. You don't want to miss it. So what do we need to know about what's happening with Germany specifically now?
Well, so there's been a lot of details coming with Germany lately, and so we've been able to talk about this a little bit. But, you know, everybody that knows this program and has listened to it many times before, they understand the beast of Daniel chapter 7 and the beast of Revelation chapter 13. And so when you look at the four-headed leopard in Daniel chapter 7, we see the body of that world government structure is that leopard. So that leopard that has four heads is the main body part of that one world government in Revelation 13, 1 and 2 that John talks about. So anytime Germany makes statements like they're making in this article, Vince, it gets us, it gets our attention, gets us looking at more of what they're saying, because we have seen what the scripture says about, and one of the heads had received a deadly wound and come back to life, and that wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. Well, like you said, the Berlin Wall coming down allowed that fourth rise of Germany, and here we are now. And not only are we going to look at this article and see what they're saying about this situation with Russia, but we've seen the Chancellor of Germany talk about how they need to take all of this money that they haven't been spending on military and build their military power up, because they can't rely on the United States anymore. The United States has turned more to a nationalist state where it's all about America first, and they're not thinking in the terms of NATO. And so now NATO and their leaders are beginning to say, we need a coalition of power, we need a coalition of strength, so we don't have to depend on America for military power. So we're seeing all that. We've talked about all that in the past. Then this article comes out over the weekend, and it talks about Germany is now signaling their shift from diplomacy, dealing with Russia and the Ukraine, to more of military support for the Ukraine to fight against Russia. And like you said, it's not just Germany. We're focusing on Germany here because of the leopard, but there's some other stuff that we can talk about as we move on, because you know there's another world leader who is in charge of a country that is very good friends with Germany, and he's been saying our whole mood and our whole demeanor needs to change from being able to have talks with Putin now to helping Ukraine win this war.
Well, so can I just ask you something real quick?
Please.
The Chancellor says that diplomacy with Russia has been exhausted.
Yeah.
I've said stuff like that before in certain contexts where it's like, we've exhausted all our options here. Right. We have no more options.
Yeah.
Which means something major has to shift.
Yeah.
And he's suggesting the diplomacy has been, the attempts for diplomacy have been exhausted. So we need to stop being diplomatic is what that means.
That's exactly what that means.
And I guess it needs to turn into a street fight. Like, that's kind of, to put it into regular man's terms, like we need to step outside.
Right.
There's no more talking here. We need to go out.
Yeah.
Behind the woodshed, I think you referenced this morning?
Yes, exactly. When I was a kid, if you got called to the principal's office, and when you walked in the door, if he started rolling his sleeves up, you knew this was not going to end well.
Did you have one of those wooden paddles at your school, too?
Yes, we did, with the holes drilled in them.
Yeah, they don't have those anymore, I don't think.
We called that the heat seeker.
Did you sign yours when you...
No,
okay.
I didn't.
That's neither here nor there. So, exhausted, that means we need to step it up, and something needs to happen.
Yeah.
And like you said, they're not the only ones saying things like this. Yeah. In fact, Trump has given him 50 days to respond, which I know we'll get to later. But just to highlight there that it's more than just Germany saying this.
Well, and one of the things that maybe we didn't mention as much, maybe Dave did more than we did, but when Trump went to the NATO summit, he left with a different attitude. I know we touched on it one day, but he said that his attitude has completely changed now toward NATO and their cause. And so where before he was saying we were going to pull out of it, now Trump, our president, is being more supportive of NATO and what's going on there. I saw an interview with him today from the post that you sent me that we'll look at later. We didn't get the video, but I did put that post in to talk about what he said about Russia. But one of the things he said was he was very disappointed in Vladimir Putin because he said we could have had this resolved already. But every time we think that we're making headway, Russia does something else. So Trump is getting fed up with Russia, kind of like he was getting fed up with Netanyahu during the 12-day war with Iran. And so, it's interesting at what's being said. But for Germany, back to Germany and what they're saying that it's time to stop talking and it's time to move toward resolving this war with helping Ukraine build up their military power and their efforts there. He came real short of saying, that we need to put ground troops on the ground. But, that's something that they've talked about and teased about before, is that maybe we need boots on the ground. He didn't say that this time. But one of the interesting things about this article, Vince, is it says that right now Russia, President Vladimir Putin, is expressing a willingness to engage in a third round of peace talks and signaled openness to discussing peace proposals with the Ukraine. And the Turkish president, Erdogan, however you say his name, I'm sorry, I butcher that all the time, is working to bring Putin and Vladimir Zelensky together in Turkey to have this conversation. But yet Europe is saying we're done talking. That's what it sounds like to me when you read what the German chancellor said, is that we're beyond this. It's exhausted. Let's move to the next level here. And so it's interesting because now all of a sudden Putin is saying, okay, we do want to talk. And for Turkey to be involved in it, that's interesting too, because, Turkey and Russia are going to be two of the major forces that are coming down at the Battle of Armageddon against Israel. So we see that alignment. And of course, with Iran, who is modern-day Persia, which is another one of those countries there in the Gog-Magog Armageddon War. And so we're watching these things happen, but at the same time, we're watching these European world leaders, and once again, like the leopard, they're poking the bear, like you said a while ago. And it does not jibe with what Bible prophecy says is going to happen, because Bible prophecy says that one world government is going to have the body of the leopard, the mouth of the lion, and the feet of the bear. So Russia is going to be a major part of this force, and we see other pieces coming together trying to make peace there. So it does look like things are going to heat up there. It's definitely not going away. And then with Trump getting involved in it, it seems like it could potentially even grow into a bigger scale situation than what it is right now.
And Doug, Dave does a deep dive on America's Prophesied Future, a brand new end-time original that he's done. He's going around teaching that at churches and different event spaces all over the United States. He's actually coming up here in a few weeks. He'll be in Katy, Texas, he and Jana Robbins, for 3 days. 2 nights and one morning. So July 25th, 26th, 27th, Dave and Jana Robbins will be in Katy, Texas. Dave will be teaching about America's Prophesied Future. So if you're in the Katy, Texas area, you need to make plans to come out, meet Dave and Jana, and hear this lesson that will give you perspective about America's Prophesied Future. I know there are so many questions. You start talking about Epstein, you start talking about Trump and what Trump is saying about Iran and Russia, and there's so much, and people are going, what's going to happen with the United States of America? Well, Dave explains that in this brand new lesson. So make plans to come out to Katy, Texas. Go to endtime.com/events to learn more about that conference. But before you get to that, on that page, you're going to see that Dave's actually preaching tomorrow here in the Dallas area at North Cities in Garland, Texas. He'll be giving an update about what happened in Israel recently, but also be sharing a message as well. So it's a brief update about Israel and a message that the Lord's laid on his heart. So make plans if you're in the Dallas area to come out tomorrow night at 7:30 p.m. at North Cities in Garland, Texas. The details for both of those are available at endtime.com/events. Now, moms and grandmas. I know we've got a lot of moms and grandmas that watch the End Time Show. So if you're a mom or a grandma, let us know in the chat. I want to see you out there. if you're a mom or a grandma, you've been praying for your son perhaps, or your husband, and maybe even your grandson. If you've watched someone you love walk through addiction, pain, or just lose their way, you gotta know about this new show on Only Source called Joy Hour. Might be the answer that you've been hoping for. Joy Hour with Tom Lyman. Tom's a husband. He's a father. He's a man who nearly lost everything, but by the grace of God, he didn't. And this show is his way of giving back. Every episode's filled with real, honest conversations about addiction, family, forgiveness, and healing. And it's not just his story. He brings on guests who've walked through fire and come out the other side changed. The Joy Hour is where masks come off, hearts open up, and healing begins. If you've been carrying the weight of someone else's pain, or maybe it's your own, this is the kind of show that will speak life into you. So go to endtime.com/joy. You can use code June for a free month to check it out. Again, that's endtime.com/joy, promo code June. There's hope, and sometimes it starts with just one story, and I think many of you are going to get that with Joy Hour. So go to endtime.com/joy. Doug, is there anything else in that story about the German chancellor that we need to highlight before we go to what President Trump has said?
Well, there's one thing that it kind of came out right before we came in here. I wasn't able to add it in there, but Macron has, this is what I was talking about with a close ally, like what you were saying before. But President Macron of France has said he's named Russia as the most direct threat. Now, this is speaking to the European Union, the most direct threat to the country's interest and stability in the European continent. And he says that Russia is using all means at its disposal to undermine support of the Ukraine and challenge the international order for its own benefit. Now, it's interesting when he uses words like international order when he's talking about this, because we know the New World Order. We know that is the one world government that we've been talking about. And here we've got France and Germany, two of remember, Vince, in Daniel 7, the leopard has the wings of a fowl on its back, and people are always asking us about the wings of the fowl. Now, France's animal symbol is a rooster, which is a fowl. And it's interesting that they've signed the pact, the Franco-German pact. Recently, Macron and Merkel, when she was in power, they came together and re-signed that as a way to say France and Germany will always be united. They're never going to break off from each other. And so people ask, well, how come you don't hear about those wings of a fowl when you get to Revelation 13? Well, because we didn't see the wings of the fowl plucked off the back of the leopard. We know that they are still on that leopard. It just doesn't talk about it because they become one. And the wings of the eagle were actually plucked off. Daniel watched those be plucked off and be made separate from the lion. And the wings were made to stand on its feet as a man, and a heart of a man was given to the wings. And so this is different with France. And here we've got this Emmanuel Macron, who you say his name and a lot of people's radars go off. You know, all of a sudden we could be talking about a potential Antichrist figure here. A lot of people believe. And so he speaks up and he says the same thing, that Russia is now using everything at its disposal. I mean, short of a nuclear bomb, you know, they are using a lot of things at their disposal. And he says that, you know, that the worldview toward Russia is changing and that more powers are coming up against them. So that was an article that came out that I missed this morning that I wanted to throw in there because, you know, we mentioned these other nations that are kind of coming into this, because there's even more than that, Vince, when you look at the big picture. And, you know, Estonia has talked about, you know, their fears and the things that are going on there. We know Estonia are one of those that might be a piece to the ribs that are in the mouth of the bear. We've talked about that before. Lithuania and Estonia could be tied in with that. So those countries are also worried and involved. Everybody is saying that Putin won't just stop with the Ukraine, and that's why he keeps pushing in. Of course, we've talked about there has to be regime change if Russia comes on board with the world government, because Putin is totally against the West and the world government right now. And so those are just interesting things. And then what you shared with me this morning, I'll let you share that, what Trump said and what that could mean for this situation as well.
Well, he's come out and said that he's given Russia and Putin 50 days to strike a peace deal with Ukraine before he enacts secondary tariffs at 100% to cripple them economically. And then he further adds, if we do not have a deal in 50 days at 100%, and that's the way it is, it could not be more simple. So the suggestion is that it's time for Russia to come to the table and settle all this, or they're going to be crippled.
Right.
So they're trying to use tariffs to do that, at least from the U.S. perspective.
Yeah.
I don't know. I remember, I mean, I'm not trying to suggest anything, I guess, but I remember when similar things were said about Iran.
Right.
And it's like, we're going to add tariffs, and if they don't straighten up, then who knows what will happen. Well, I don't know what's going to happen with Russia, except for their talking points are going to change dramatically. They're going to end up joining up with the EU and the world government system.
Yeah.
Right now they're adamantly opposed, and you know, the fear of them taking Ukraine and then going even further is probably a legit fear.
Mm-hmm.
It could be what they want. They might want to take over all of Europe. That really may be possible.
Mm-hmm.
However, we know what's coming, and it's going to be a big shift, and we don't know how we're going to get there. I don't think I've ever considered once. I'm not sure I remember us even talking about it. So maybe there's a reason we didn't talk about it. Help me understand, Doug. Have we ever considered that the U.S. could be the one that cripples Russia to the point where they have to join up with NATO to survive, perhaps?
I mean, I don't think that we've ever expressed that could be a situation. I don't know that could be a situation now, really. I mean, with their allies that they have. I mean, look at what we did try to do with Iran, and then people came to their aid. Well, Russia's got allies that are very wealthy. China is one of their main allies. What this could do, though, because we know that they've been trying to break off from the petrodollar and start with the BRICS and get that so powerful that it just destroys the American dollar. Well, that in and of itself is enough to start war. When you look at all the people that have tried to move off of the petrodollar, the oil-backed dollar, and try to move to a different system, and look what happened to them. We now know Gaddafi was killed because he tried to move to a gold standard. Saddam Hussein, it's been tied in that could be one of the reasons why we were told that there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, is to take Saddam Hussein out, who was trying to do the same thing, back their money with gold. And now you've got these BRICS nations trying to break off from the petrodollar. But I guess one of the things that can kind of get you thinking here is what Trump is saying is that we can cripple them because they're not playing ball with us. It almost sounds like the mark of the beast system when you think about it. I mean, that's not what Trump's talking about, because the mark of the beast is not here. But we talk, like you've said before, we point out when the left does things, and then we kind of give the right a pass sometimes. I try not to do that. I mean, we're trying to be honest. That's why we came out and talked about the Epstein files and everything the other day, saying those need to be released. But when you're looking at this, it is kind of frightening to think we can shut down a country by economically sanctioning them, and that's what the mark of the beast. Without this mark, you won't be able to buy, sell, or trade. And we've got our president who's trying to push peace treaties in the Middle East, and now he's saying he can shut a country down by putting economic sanctions on them. And it's like, all those questions when people say, could Trump be? Well, we know he couldn't. But, man, he's doing some things that make you scratch your head and go, wow, this is how that system's going to be set up. So
it's the tactics are the same. Yeah. Ultimately.
Yeah, they really are.
You need to comply or else.
Yeah.
And so, you know, sometimes it's done for the good.
Yeah.
You know, I do this with my children sometimes. It's like what we say is if you don't do the right thing, you will have bad consequences.
Yeah.
You can have good consequences, but you have to choose the right thing.
Right.
And they know what right and wrong is, and sometimes they don't. But ultimately, I mean, they're 7, 5, and 3. They know not to run in the house.
Idea,
you know, it's basic stuff for, you know, it's not that complex, but there will be bad consequences if you don't comply. I will sanction them in some way.
Yeah.
And so this happens at every level, and
yes, it does.
No matter if you're right or left, these tactics are used, and so it is interesting. And oh my, here's the break. Saved by the bell again, Doug. Don't go anywhere. We've got a lot more to share with you, from Trump to the WHO to what's happening in the European Union. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this break.
Of the breaking news this hour, at least 22 people are reported to have died in a strike in Gaza.
The rise of Islam.
We're trying to bring answers for so many families desperately.
Is the Israel-Hamas-Iran conflict World War III? So let's talk about the four horsemen. What do these horses symbolize? These are the four spirits of the heavens which go forth from standing before the Lord of all the earth. In the end time, the true people of God will not be weak, anemic, and defeated. These prophesied events are revealing we are quickly approaching the time of the Great Tribulation right now.
Now streaming on OnlySource and available to order at endtime.com/green. Go to endtime.com/green or call 800-ENDTIME.
What if you could understand Bible prophecy? Dave Robbins, the host of the Endtime Show's TV and radio programs, is holding a free prophecy conference near you. Gain peace and understanding about what the Bible says concerning end-time prophecy. Call 1-800-ENDTIME or go to endtime.com/events to see when Dave will be in a location near you.
Welcome back to the Endtime Show. Vince Stegall here with Doug Norvell. We're talking about how Germany is escalating things. The World Health Organization is being exposed, and there's prophecy igniting around the world. So we've got a great rest of the show for you. Hopefully we can get through everything today, Doug. We do sidetrack sometimes, and sometimes people don't like it, but sometimes they love it. So we'll see what happens here today for the rest of the show, but we're excited to share some very important information with what's developing in the world. But before we get into that, I want to remind you again about our brand new show on OnlySource that's already making an impact, the Joy Hour with Tom Lyman. If you've ever felt like you were the only one struggling, I know that I felt that way. I imagine you felt that way. Just know you're not the only one struggling. The Joy Hour is all about breaking the silence, creating space for honest stories, deep healing, and real connection. Tom's been through the fire, and now he's helping others find freedom on the other side. It's raw, it's real, and it just might be exactly what you or someone you love needs right now. So head over to endtime.com/joy and use code JUNE for a free month of access. That's endtime.com/joy and use promo code JUNE. Don't miss it. Make sure you're part of the Joy Hour launch. It's hard to say, Doug.
Well,
Is that why you're laughing at me?
No, I'm laughing because we're using June
Joy.
still, and we're almost done with July, and we're using code June.
Well, it's because it gets them a free month. They could use code July, but it doesn't get you a free month.
Yeah.
Code July only gets you.
Don't use that at all. Use June.
Yeah.
I
So
just thought it was
/joy,
funny.
use code June. Endtime.com/joy, use code June.
That'll make you smile if nothing else.
It's tough to say if you do it too fast. Anyway.
Yeah.
Dave's preaching tomorrow, too. That's another thing I want to remind everybody. Endtime.com/events. Dave's preaching here in the Dallas area.
And
all
if
the
you're not
details
in
are
the
there.
Dallas area, that'll be on
streamed on their social media accounts and northcities.org/watch.
Yeah, we're not doing it anywhere on OnlySource or anything.
Not yet.
Okay.
Maybe we need to.
Maybe one day we can shift to that.
Maybe we need to.
I think we should. Like when you and Dave speak there, we should have that on OnlySource, if nothing else, one of the behind the scenes or something. I mean,
we might be able to make that happen very quickly. I don't know if they would want that, Doug.
I need to stop coming up with these crazy
I
things
know, live on
air
the show, you put me right on the spot. We got to make it happen for everybody.
I'm sorry.
Do you want to watch Dave preach tomorrow on OnlySource? We might be able to figure that out. Let us know if that's something you would want.
There you go. And also, let's just say this, because if you're in the Dallas area, if you're in this area, Dave has started Bible studies here. He's going through the End Time, Understanding the End Time series. He's doing that live here every Thursday night at 7 o'clock at our building. So if you're in the area, you need to come out to that. You would love it. Dave teaches it. And then not only do you see the video, he's going to run you through that, but then at the end, you're going to get the question and answers, and he's going to take you through some prophecy in the news that's very current, and you will learn from that. You will grow from that, and you'll get to know Dave a little bit. So it'd be really cool.
The info for that, they need to RSVP for it, endtime.com/Plano, Plano.
Yeah. Okay.
They can come to...
I don't know all that part. But.
RSVP there.
Yeah.
And if you're not in the area, you can join through Zoom.
Yes.
All that is available, endtime.com/Plano. We need you to register.
Yeah. And there's no better time than to do it right now with all this prophetic stuff that's coming down the pike. And, I mean, it's just like one thing after another right now. It truly is like the old, story about the snowball rolling down. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger and faster as it's rolling down a hill. So that's kind of how prophecy is doing right now. So that's important, and that will help you. So you ought to check that out if you're in this area, or if you can get on Zoom and do that. One other thing I wanted to mention, because we're talking here more about these wars that are happening. You know, the Lord told us that there will be wars and rumors of wars right before the end of the age. And so we're seeing that more and more. And just when you think everything is cooling down in the Middle East, I mean, you have the 12-day war is over with Iran. You've got a ceasefire with Gaza. You got talks of the hostages being released. All these things, you start thinking, okay, well, maybe this is settling down. Well, now we've got this huge thing going on in Syria again, which we've kind of been talking about it all day, because we were in the studio with Kara, with Vince's mom today, who we were setting up for our general conference today, and just kind of in here, and we were checking out all the breaking news on Syria, because Israel has launched attacks on Syria, blowing up some tanks that were on the move down toward the border there, from Damascus down to the Golan Heights area, and Israel's bombed them. Well, if you go to some sources, Vince, some of the sources I was looking up this afternoon were saying Israel's bombing Syria again. Like, why are they doing this? Well, they're doing it because Syria is attacking innocent people. The Druze, for instance, remember they attacked them earlier when all this began to happen, all the shift began to happen there in Syria, and the regime change there. There were a lot of the Druze people who we had video of them making them march through the city on their hands and knees like dogs, and making them bark like dogs and things, and then executing these people simply because they were Druze. They were not Islamic followers, and even Christians have been attacked in this situation. But I saw a report today. So there's been 100 people that have died in this. It started over the weekend. Israel, like I said, have bombed some of these tanks to stop some of this fighting from happening. But what they did was that this very strong military of Syria has come down in an ISIS-style attack into these Druze communities, where they have captured the women and children, taking them hostages, and killed all the men, and then dragging their bodies behind these tanks. And so that's why Israel decided they needed to step in to stop this. The Druze people are a very peaceful people that want to live and coexist with the people around them. They are not against Israel by any means. They're not against Islam either. They try to live in peace in those areas. And we go into Druze areas on our tours. When we go into Israel, we go into some of their areas where the Druze villages are and things, and we get to eat at their restaurants and meet those people, and they're some of the most loving, caring people. But they're being attacked, and they don't have a means to defend themselves, and so they're just kind of setting ducks. I mean, they have probably some weapons and things like that, but we're talking about tanks coming down on people that, you know, have small arms fire if they have anything. But it's been a mess this weekend. There's been kidnappings. Like I said, there's been some really major terrible things that were happening, like with ISIS, where they're publicly executing the people. And so Israel stepped in. I don't think that this is going to turn into a full-scale thing. We'll have to keep our eye on it. But Israel already controls a lot of the area outside the Golan Heights. When they moved in there before, because of Hezbollah and because of some of the other terrorist organizations that were working with Iran, and Israel still occupies some of that area. And so they're defending that area as well. So we'll keep our eye on it. We'll see. We know this much, There's a sixth trumpet war coming, and we know that the Bible talks about that, and all these things are leading to that, it appears today. You put in World War III in a search engine, and you get a ton of information. So we'll keep our eyes on it. We'll keep you up to date on it. But I just want to mention that was some breaking news that was happening today in Syria, between Israel and Syria.
So is that World War III coming to pass or brewing up more? I know we talked about Iran and Israel's conflict, Hamas and Israel's conflict, and now we're having to talk about Syria and Israel, and even I saw over the weekend as well, Doug, Iran put out a map showing where they dropped a nuke on Israel, this is what happened type of thing. It obviously didn't happen, but there's all sorts of talk on social media about this stuff. So actually seeing where 100 people have died, is that another step towards that?
I mean, it could be, Vince. Anything out there. I mean, we've looked at this for a long time, and there's so many different issues going on. Anything could spark off this war. And so what we talked about with the Ukraine and Russia and Europe and France and this situation, I mean, one thing we talked about today in devotion was that the devil, he knows his time is short. I mean, he hasn't been kicked out of heaven yet. That hasn't happened where he's been bound to the earth, because we know that triggers the final 3.5 years, the times and dividing of time. But he knows his time is getting short, and man, he has got people riled up. And I often get this question, and I don't know, I can't say for certain, but Scripture says these 4 angels that are bound in the river Euphrates are loosed, and to cause a third of mankind to die in this war. And so people ask me all the time, have those angels been loosed? To me, personally, it appears that way, but I don't have biblical evidence of that. That's just my opinion. But it sure does seem like there's been a spiritual shift in that area, and that possibly these angels have been loosed, and this is the beginning of that. Like Jesus says, the beginning of sorrows. We're watching things escalate more and more, and just when you think it's been extinguished and it's dying down, something else comes up. Now, the other day we were talking about Syria was wanting to sign on to the Abraham Accords. They were one of the countries that was talking with Trump, and this new leader, remember, he was an ISIS commander formerly before he got into power now, and has kind of changed his tune. So people are asking, did he really change his tune? Is this really going to happen? We'll just have to keep watching, because things are changing daily in the Middle East for sure.
So how about the World Health Organization? That's another global organization, and the U.S. has left it. What's going on with that?
Yeah, well, you know that they're going to fight that tooth and nail. They don't want us to leave because for a long time we've talked about, Vince, that the way America goes, it's kind of the way the world goes. So one of the things standing in the way of world government, and, you know, there's no bones about it, the WHO is world government. That's the World Health Organization. They're part of the UN. They're part of the WEF. They're all intermingled together. It's just another tentacle of this monster called the UN. And so they don't want us to leave. And this story comes from the Epic Times. And one of the things it talks about is that they're wanting global control over our health and use pandemics. Remember what we did earlier with the pandemic treaty, we pulled out of that. But this time, this past May, all the other countries were kind of voting for it. It wasn't like before where they fought tooth and nail against it. Now countries have signed on to that agreement, but America has not. Praise the Lord, and thank you very much. And I think a lot of it probably has to do with Robert Kennedy Jr., being part of Trump's what is it called? What do they call MAHA? Yeah, make
America healthy again.
Yes, make America healthy again. So anyway, the thing is,
and I know someone named Maha.
I know, that's what's weird every time I see that. And Maha probably wouldn't like that they use her name.
I messed with her about it a few times, and I stopped.
Oh yeah, it's probably a good thing. Because anyway, we won't go there. But yeah, she probably doesn't like that reference. But anyway, the WHO, they are now talking about disease X, and this is one of the things that they're saying is coming. Now, we've talked about that. I feel like, I don't know how you feel about it, and I may open a can of worms that you want to close immediately, but I feel like since COVID happened, we're in a place now where most people kind of understand what COVID was and what COVID is and what the vaccines were and all those things. I'm not afraid to talk about it as much anymore because we may get attacked and this video may get shut down on social media, but I'm not as concerned about those things anymore because people are opening their eyes to, that it was about global control, and it was more or less a test to see what they could get us to respond to. Well, now they've got something new they're coming out with, and we're pulling out of the WHO. And does it have any correlation? I don't know that, but we can talk more about it.
Well, I would love to talk more about it on the other side of the break, and I even wonder if the flooding stuff's not connected to all this, but that's another subject for after the break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Many people argue America is not mentioned in the prophecies of the Bible. But they will miss so much about the coming events that will happen in the end time if they don't get that understanding. What do these beasts symbolize? That's what we need to answer. Because if we can't understand what these beasts symbolize, there's no point in even studying this, right? If you don't believe that America is mentioned in the Bible, you're going to be stuck when it comes to figuring out all these prophecies. But once you understand this, America has a prophesied future. It's given to us in the Bible. And the America will not be part of the world government, but we're going to be protecting Israel against the world government all the way to the second coming of Jesus Christ.
Now streaming on OnlySource and available to order at endtime.com/America. Go to endtime.com/America or call 1-800-ENDTIME.
Welcome back to the Endtime Show. Vince Stegall here with Doug Norvell. Don't forget, we need your help when you share this video. 45 minutes in, it goes a long way. So go ahead and share the video right now. Share it in all the groups you're in. Email the link. However you can share, go ahead and do it now. It'll help us out a lot. Also, don't forget to heart, thumbs up, everything that's available to you in that regard, and then be posting meaningful comments. Anytime that you can comment a full sentence or two, that helps out a lot as well. So do all those things for the remainder of the show, and it will be a wonderful way to spread the message literally globally. When you share this, it's going all around the world. So do that for us now. Doug, there's a lot to cover still in the last 15 minutes of the show. Mm-hmm. One thing specifically we're talking about, I don't know how far you want to go with this conversation. I have no problem talking about these things. Yeah. I enjoy this conversation a lot.
Yes.
Of course, I am a little reserved when being recorded, just a little bit, but yeah. So.
Yeah, it's a good thing that they don't have a camera in my office when we're doing the pre-show, because we're in there having our meeting before the show. That's when some of the best talk happens, I think.
Before the show?
Yeah, before the show. So
we need to get the cameras on.
Well,
backstage.
You don't want to be comfortable, or you're not comfortable with what you're saying being recorded, so we got to be careful. But anyway, where were you going with that? I'm sorry.
I'm just wondering how deep you wanted to talk about the WHO, Disease X, the play for control, all those things. I mean, I'm not aware. I mean, there may be some people out there somewhere that, well, there are, because, I was just in the grocery store the other day, and someone was wearing a mask, and I'd try not to snicker at them. I'm trying to be kind and careful with folks, but I do want to ask them, like, what it's like to be the last person on earth wearing a mask, and just see what they say back.
Yeah.
But then I realized that probably wouldn't come off that well.
Yeah.
And I want to love all people, so It's like I got to hold that back. But in the inside, I'm saying something like that.
Yeah.
There are a few people, I suppose, out there that still think that it was not that, but for the most part, everybody's pretty much agreed now that there's a play for control. Nothing they said was true. Maybe there were some people who ignorantly or innocently went along with this stuff and didn't realize what was happening. But for the most part, we've all landed there, I guess.
Yeah, and so, I mean, I don't want to go deep into all that's already happened, but I will say this. I think that both of us agree that was a trial run to see how people would respond to everything that they tried to do. And I do think that it has something to do with control, because we know this pandemic treaty that they've come out with, the WHO has come out with, that's part of the deal, is they can take your sovereignty away. They can come in and they can lock you down again. And so if you're not, like we talked about with Putin a while ago, if you're not playing along with their standards and what they want you to do, they can come in and shut you down, and they can decide what a pandemic is. It's not just necessarily a disease that comes. I've heard where they could say you could have a shooting somewhere and they could come in and lock that area down and say this is a pandemic because we've had mass casualties and now we need to take everybody's guns away. You know, that everybody's got guns because this is an epidemic that's going to go through the country. And so I've heard those things. I'm not going to talk a lot about that today because there's a couple of things I wanted to address that were in this article and talked about in this article. And one of them is some people, when the vaccine came out, and they've talked about other vaccines that can track you. So that's one of the things they talked about. Do you remember the guy, I believe from Pfizer, that was sitting there and he was talking about being able to take a vaccine tablet that then could be tracked and they could tell that everybody took a particular vaccine. Okay, so people have said that's what the next move is. And the article talks about a little bit that the WHO could actually be trying for control like that, where they can track you. So obviously that sounds a lot like the mark of the beast. And so some people are afraid that maybe the mark of the beast is a vaccine for a future disease X or bird flu or whatever. Could they do that? And with the mRNA vaccines and everything, have they already done that? So that's one of the things. Well, I'm going to say no, because remember that the mark is going to be something that is on your hand or your forehead. Now, could it be a chip or something like that? Yes. Could it be a tattoo or some kind of biometric tattoo that they put on your skin or under your skin or something like that? Absolutely. I do not believe that it's going to be a vaccine. I believe that it is going to be something that you are going to have to accept. I believe they're going to make the mark look so wonderful to everybody because you'll be able to do everything with it. You'll be able to buy your groceries, unlock your doors, turn your thermostat down, all this stuff because you now have this mark. A lot of people
already do that.
I know.
I was at someone's house this week and they're like, look at all these things. It's through Bluetooth.
Yeah, get your phone out.
They run their dishwasher, their lights by their bed. It's all Bluetooth.
Yeah, everything's smart now. So,
unless your phone's dead.
And just think, though, if they say you don't even need a phone anymore, if you've got this mark, now you communicate,
you just think it.
Thoughts.
I wish my lights would dim. And then they would dim.
Ooh, my lights would go dim.
I've got a lot to say, Doug.
Yeah,
if we had that tapped into my wife, into her brain, I better not go there.
No.
I stay in the doghouse already.
You need to stay out of the doghouse right now.
Doug, I've got breaking news.
What is the breaking news?
We're going to be streaming the service tomorrow on Only Source.
Well, there you go. That's awesome.
I texted.
Sorry about that, Sam.
I did a group text and asked if we couldn't do it, and I blamed you for it. And
Sam said, "Thanks, Doug," in my ear.
One of the text messages said, "Please tell Doug to stop creating extra work for us to do."
I'm sorry, guys. Like that. I'm sorry, but
it's all for the end timers. So I'm on your side on this one, Doug.
We're just trying to help everybody out so you can see everything.
Yeah. It'll be a wonderful blessing to the end timers. So it's worth the effort.
That's a very good thing. I mean, I think anytime that you and Dave are able to speak there at North Cities, that should be on Only Source so that people can see the other side of what we do here. I mean, when you're preaching at the congregation and in church, you're a totally different gear. So
it is a different gear for sure.
Yeah. Okay. The other thing I want to talk about before we run out of time.
Our matching shirts.
Can you? I can't really tell.
We're both wearing maroon today.
We are,
It's
but man,
frightening.
mine looks black for some reason in there. But it's the same color as yours, and so is Sam in production.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's not what you were going to say, though.
I wasn't going to talk about that at
okay.
all. What I was going to mention is that some people tie in a particular scripture, and they did in this story about there's Sam with the maroon shirt.
Sam's first appearance on the Endtime Show.
Just want to show my maroon shirt.
There's Sam, everybody.
He got the memo for
That's
the maroon.
the Sam that we often refer to. So
that speaks in our ear.
put Sam in the
We love
comments
you,
if
Sam.
we need to see more Sam.
Yeah, Sam helps me out a lot around here. He helped me put up this display that's over here to my left, and well, your left too. Anyway, Revelation 18:23. They tried to tie this in, and I get it. I understand where it's coming from, but it talks about pharmakeia in Revelation 18:23, and the thing is that the word pharmakeia is in fact where we get the word pharmacy. And so a lot of people tie in the mRNA into the scripture where it talks about the harlot and the pharmakeia. It says that the world has been made drunk by her pharmakeia, or by her sorceries, some translations say. So people are tying in that with the mRNA vaccines, because they're going to continue to use mRNA vaccines as we move forward with that WHO. But like I said, we have been pulled out of that. Now, the pharmakeia thing, I understand that that's where that word comes from, but you have to understand that word also means sorcery and witchcraft. And when it's talking about the great harlot, Revelation 17 and 18 both are talking about Mystery Babylon, the harlot. And so when it's talking about that and it talks about her sorceries, I don't believe that that's talking about pharmacy, or that is talking about medicine. I believe it's talking more about sorcery and witchcraft, for sure, because I believe that is part of why she's a harlot, because she's not practicing true Christianity. She is practicing witchcraft. And so when you look at it that way, you can even see more that this is a religious entity. This is not it's not the United States of America. This is a religious entity, because they're using a different religion besides Christianity. They're using witchcraft and sorcery. And just an interesting thing that kind of goes along with the world government and sorcery and things like that. Vince, you've been to Israel, and when you went, did they talk about where the UN building is in Israel?
Yes.
The hill that it's on?
Yes.
Did they tell you the
Not
name
ready
of
for
that?
a pop quiz right now.
Okay,
though.
sorry.
But I remember it.
Yeah. So it is built on the hill, and it is the mountain is called the Hill of Wicked Counsel, is I believe that's the way it translates. The Hill of Wicked Counsel. They also believe, this is what we were told, or I was told by our tour guide when we were talking about that, this Mount of Wicked Counsel, they believe that is where Judas met the Pharisees and plotted
Evil counsel.
Evil counsel. Okay. The Hill of Evil Counsel. I said
Yes.
Wicked Counsel. Evil and wicked is probably the same thing. But anyway, the Hill of Evil Counsel. And they believe that could be where Judas betrayed Christ and set the whole thing up there. And that's actually where the UN is housed, on that mountain. Now that is God's sense of humor right there. He is showing us that these people who try to give counsel to other nations built their kingdom in Israel on the Hill of Evil Counsel.
Wouldn't you think that they would know that and go, never mind, we cannot.
Yeah, we can't
cannot
build on
build
this.
on this.
It would seem like
we
it.
need to find somewhere else to go.
Yeah, it would seem that way. Yes,
But they didn't.
So these two are tied in because that WHO is part of the UN, and that's kind of what I was getting at today. But what we need to understand too is that this is all part of that one world government, and it's all about control. It's all about them wanting to control every aspect of our life. Now, will there be a mark eventually set up with this world government? Of course there will, because that's what Revelation 13 tells us, that there is going to be a mark, and without it you can't buy, sell, or trade. Does it have to do, will the mark have to do anything with vaccines or pandemics? I don't believe so. That's just my opinion, but I don't believe that. I believe it's going to be more of an economic sanction, like what we're seeing countries do, like what we're hearing our president say they're going to do to Russia. The one world government will do that in an individual way, and that's why it's tied to a mark, because if they're allowing you to have this mark, you're going into a system, they're going to be able to shut you down with any opportunity they have if you're not playing ball with them. So, I mean, you know, they've already talked about wanting to reduce the meats we eat and things like that. And if we go to digital currency, they'd be able to lock down our money and our financial situation. So this could be tied to that some way. If you don't take this vaccine, you could be economically sanctioned, but I don't think it's going to be the mark in and of itself.
Doug, two quick things before we go. Sam stole the show, so just put Sam the Man in the comments one last time to show the production team some love. And then also, if you want to be part of the service tomorrow night where Dave is preaching, that will be streamed on Only Source. Go to watch.osn.tv, create an account and or subscribe there using code JUNE. And then when we go live for that service, we will send you an email notification letting you know that we're live. So be sure to do that. And, of course, use code JUNE. Watch Joy Hour, Little Things, and everything we have to offer at Only Source. And join us live tomorrow. We'll be right back here for the show. See you there.
No pressure, Dave.
No pressure.